podcast about comics. A podcast about comics.
Welcome back to another episode of a podcast about comics. This is your boy Tchallabp74 and my man
Keitanooo.
Alright, today we got an interesting episode, but before we get going, to all our new listeners out there, don't forget to hit us up on a podcast about comics at gmail.com. If you have any topics that you want us to cover, stay in tune. Hit us up on that subscribe button. Stay up with us on all topics, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, all the latest rumors and gossips that's going on. How are you feeling today, Keitanooo? You excited?
I'm excited, and I'm also like extremely relieved.
First of all, happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners that's out there.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hope you guys had a good one. Belly full of turkey. Make sure you remember that there's some out there that's not with us. There's also some that's not fortunate to have full bellies. Pay it forward. You know, get them a plate of food whenever you can. See somebody on the road look like they're having a rough go at it. You know, see what you can do for them. That's how we get by. We need to increase the good deeds of humanity. Anyway, is the force strong today, brother?
The force is very strong.
Yes,
this was a good week for science fiction. Now, I know that you don't do the whole Star Trek thing just yet, but even that was good. But that's not what we're here to talk about. This is all about Ahsoka Tanoas.
Ahsoka Tanoas. Whoo! Sound like she your wife, yo. She have a last name. She carry a name like yours.
All right, look. When I joined the academy, I heard that I was going to get to choose my name.
Yeah.
And I was just, for some reason, like every character that I could think of in the Star Wars universe, Ahsoka's like name was always what came up. So I finally had to realize that she is probably my favorite character out of the Star Wars universe. So in the process of creating that name, I used a part of her name to make mine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So seeing her on screen and having followed her the way I have, this was extremely satisfying.
Yeah. Woo.
This whole season.
We talking all Ahsoka Tanoas today, okay? And
who can be found on The Mandalorian.
Yes, Mandalorian episode 5, which was titled Jedi.
The Jedi, yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me be real with you. The opening scene, brother. The opening scene. The opening scene. Yeah. I don't know how much times I could say that, right? So, immediately I got a call from my man, Dr. Law. He hits me up, and I'm behind because I set my alarm to watch it like 3 o'clock in the morning.
You threatened to call me.
Yes.
At 3 a.m.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm going to be asleep.
Yes. And when he called me, it's like after 6. And he's like, he calls me by my name. And he's like, did you see? And I'm like, stop. My alarm, I didn't hear it. I didn't get to watch it. I'm about to jump in right now. He says like 2 more things. And I think one of them is like, oh my God kind of thing.
Did he feel a little betrayed by you? Just a little bit?
No.
Okay.
No.
I would have.
Because he fell asleep. He was exhausted. He put it on. He passed out. He woke back up, watched it.
Okay. But you still hadn't seen it.
I hadn't seen it yet.
And, you know, like, I would definitely make you feel a little bit
kind of way
for, like, you know, dropping the ball and falling asleep.
Whew. So I'm like, yo, I'm going to hit you back. I'm jumping in right now. Start out the episode. We see people scrambling. We don't know what's going on. Yeah. We see like a woody area, and all of a sudden we see a figure and 2 white
sabers.
Laser sword sabers, just wonk wonk.
Yeah.
I lost it.
And so I have been doing this thing where I was listening to audiobooks when I was showering. So a lot of times I was listening to Ahsoka, the novel. So when I see these two white sabers, and I have listened to how she got the sabers.
Yeah.
Just a little bit in my pants.
Just a little bit in your pants? It wasn't a little bit for me. I'm going to tell you right now, I went full on. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I had to like compose to make it through the episode.
Yeah.
The tribal markings on her face, spot on.
Yeah.
Her color pigmentation of her skin.
That burnt orange look.
Yes. Spot on.
Yeah.
The Togruta headpiece. Spot on. Her attire. Spot on.
Yeah.
Her Jawkai movements with a saber in a left and a right, offensive, defensive. Spot on.
All right, now, do you believe that was Rosario Dawson doing that? The saber fights, or do you think they had a stand-in?
I don't know. But if they had a stand-in, they did a really good job.
And if she did it herself, she did a really good job.
She did a really good job.
Yeah.
Now, there was some of her movements that was very elementary.
But
when
you don't
become
need it to be complex in
No, it didn't need
like
to be
this.
complex at all.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be.
Yeah.
But again, you're talking about somebody who knows saber forms and stuff. So I looked at it, but I wasn't overly technical.
I just wanted to see good choreography.
Yeah.
You know, that's my thing. I'm not a technical person, but I do have a slight eye for good versus bad choreography. I'm going to go out on a limb and think that Rosario did this because it wasn't extremely dangerous. The person who she fought against, and her name is
Diana Lee Inosanto.
Insanto, yeah. And she also is a martial arts trainer. She's a stunt coordinator.
Yes.
So I would assume that she did all her own sword work or staff work in the episode, which makes me think that she might have taken on Rosario and worked with her, and they just did it together.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I definitely think that they put in some work.
Yeah.
One of the things in the forums, people have been talking about this for a while. Can a lightsaber cut through Beskar? Well, we found out the answer, didn't we?
The answer is no.
You see? Man, listen. Amazing episode.
Okay, so you do know that this is the first time in all of our cast that I actually decided to prepare the night before.
You ready?
I am not
so
only
you about to
ready,
go 150
I'm not gonna say that I watched it like 3 1/3 times.
I only watched it twice.
You only watched it twice?
I only watched it twice.
Yeah, I watched it 3 solid times.
So you watched it more than I did.
Yeah, which is rare.
You
right?
such a nerd. You can't even talk about my level of nerd right now.
I got so many questions, and
I might have some answers.
You might. All right, so
let's go in.
So let's just talk about Ahsoka for a second and where she is at this point in the timeline. We're talking about someone who was left in the cold by the Jedi Order, wanted for murder, recruited as a spy, fights and learns that Darth Vader is really Anakin. Order 66. And at this point, she is not a Jedi. So, and I had to help my neighbor understand this, who has watched this almost as many times as I have. She has Force abilities, but she's not living the life of a Jedi. So I would say her relationship with the Force is a unique relationship that she has with the Force.
But she's a Force user.
She is. But if you notice that when she gets up and talks to the magistrate, it's so Anakin. You know, you have one day. So she cut everybody down. She shows her to the front door and tells her that you're going to tell me what I want to know.
I'm giving you 1 day.
And I'm giving you 1 day, and you decide. And normally, when a Jedi is faced with prisoners and whatever the objective is, they usually try to figure out a solution that involves the better good of like the mission and the people that are captured.
Diplomatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was not playing none of that.
Dude, but there's levels of her tactics because she wasn't a consular in that moment. She wasn't a guardian in that moment.
If you ask me, she's still a spy. Because at this point, the Empire is fell, but that's not saying that she's not working with the Alliance anymore.
We don't know what she's doing.
But we know that her mission, she's still following the same mission that she had before, which was Thrawn.
Yeah. She want to take him down.
So needless to say,
and you don't get to find that out until the end.
Yes.
So you don't know what it is that she's after until she
she's
says
after information.
Yeah.
And so when I see that she's after information and she brings up that prisoner and she's like, basically the lives of these villagers mean nothing to me. You don't see her say like, we'll work something out. No, you could tell by her demeanor that her intention is removing the magistrate permanently. Mm-hmm. And that's how the people get saved. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be what's going to be in the best interest, what's going to save the most lives. She's going to strike the head.
But she tells us, she said, they've been under your rule. They've been suffering under your rule.
So this conversation means nothing because they're already suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. But seeing her going in and out of the shadows in that opening scene, stealth at its finest. It's almost like a Sentinel Jedi. Because you know they branch him in 3 categories. You have the Guardians, you have the Consulars, and then you have the Sentinel. And Sentinels, you don't see them until they're ready for you to see them. Mm-hmm. And usually by then it's too late.
Well, and she has to live that kind of life.
Yeah.
You know, after she becomes a wanted criminal, she has to live that type of life.
Well, you see in episode 7 of Clone Wars, that last episode that they brought back, where you saw her doing some of this kind of work. Mm-hmm. You know, she's working in the shadows. She's helping people along the way. And you kind of see this because she literally liberated a city.
Yeah. It's not the first time, though.
No. Because she's been doing it.
Yeah.
She did it in Clone Wars.
Even before Order 66, but after, you know, she escaped. Mm-hmm. And this is in the book, you know, she's kind of in hiding. But no matter where she goes, who she is eventually surfaces. Not who she is as an identity, but who she is from her core values. She's just not going to sit around and just let someone suffer.
some tyrant step on her.
Right, she's just not going to do it. You know, and even when she tries to leave, it's like she still gets pulled back. So she's not, that's just how she is. So eventually she accepts that. And next thing you know, she gets the 2 sabers and, you know, the rest is history.
Yeah. How did you feel us not getting Ashley Eckstein?
All right, so if there's any knock, this is the knock.
This is the knock?
This is it.
Okay.
And
now, in this moment, are you being a purist?
Maybe.
Because I've been called a purist a few times.
Here's the thing. We have heard Ahsoka, the voice of Ashley Eckstein, for years and years.
7 years.
For 7 years, we've heard her voice. Anytime you hear Ahsoka...
Hold on. 6 years in Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. Then we turn around and we hear her voice again in Rebels. Same voice.
And there's video games.
Video games, yeah.
And I have to figure this out, but apparently, like, she's in the Rise of Skywalker.
Yes. The voice is one of the voices that Rey hears in the end when she's facing
I gotta look good
Palpatine.
again. It was a hard movie for me to watch, so
Yeah.
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But one of the voices is hers, but I think she says like one or two things.
So the point is that we hear Ashley's voice and we connect that voice to the character. Now, the thing is, when you watch an animated show, a lot of times the characters are drawn to the likeness of the people that are creating them. Hence, Obi-Wan looks like McGregor. Samuel Jackson
Mace
looks like Mace, and so I have to assume that when they created Ahsoka, they created it in Ashley's likeness. So you might ask, well, if you could bring back Katie Sackhoff to play Bo-Katan, who has been playing Bo-Katan since Bo-Katan has been out, then why not do the same for Ashley?
Ashley doesn't look like Ahsoka. She voiced Ahsoka, and everybody attached that voice to what the character
looked like. So then when they drew Ahsoka on paper, they deliberately didn't make it look like Ashley.
Correct.
But they did.
Because they actually voiced her after they created the image of what she looks like.
Say it again.
When they created Ahsoka Tanoas, the Ahsoka that we first saw was images. And then they did Clone Wars, and we saw Ahsoka and hear her in that animated form.
Until the Clone Wars.
No, they did. She was like a third or fourth character, like fourth tier or something. She wasn't like out front like she started being in Clone Wars, and she wasn't really loved. It was like this secondary character like Jar Jar Binks.
Well, because they brought her in, and there's this whole fitting into the relationship with Anakin, so I can get where the frustration would come in, because she doesn't have a lot of significance at that point.
Correct.
But if you look at the episode and when she's talking to the magistrate, that is exactly how Anakin would have handled it. He would have cut them people down in the forest, and then would have told the magistrate that you're going to give me information.
That's all her prior master behavior all day. Yeah.
Something else that I really liked about this episode was how when we watched Luke Skywalker train with Yoda, they talk about how fear leads to the dark side. And Ahsoka has literally seen it. And
at this point in her life.
Yeah. She has, and outside of
because remember what we see now, rebels have already happened.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
So she have already faced off against her old master as Vader.
Exactly. So this is my point, is that, and when she didn't know that Darth Vader was Anakin, she had her suspicions, but she didn't really know until they had their final confrontation. But the point is that outside of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Padme, and Anakin's mother, no one really knew Anakin the way Ahsoka knew him.
Yeah.
And so, for her to see him transition from someone who guided her and trained her and, helped her navigate right from wrong, and then this guy kills the children.
Yeah. She actually saw darkness. She saw what it was like. She saw what fear does.
Yeah. And so when she meets Grogu, she's like, I can't train him. Because he's too attached to you. And I've seen what that does.
And not to mention, she can sense fear in him.
Well, of course she senses fear. And the kid's been living... At first when I understood it was that... that he was rescued and then something happened along the way and his path turned dark. But after seeing it multiple times, I think he was kidnapped from the temple, and then his life becomes pretty dark after that. So he learns that using his abilities will not help him survive. But by shrouding his abilities, he can live longer. So, there's fear in him because
survival instinct.
He's had trauma. And so has Ahsoka, so she can identify with him. However, she's like, I sense much fear in you.
If we go back to season 1, remember when Mando is, I think he's arm wrestling with Cara Dune.
Okay.
And Grogu force chokes her.
Yes. And he's got to let her go. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, again, the kids had a lot of issues, and this is the first form of stability that he's ever had. That was literally
so to
for
take
his
that
protection.
away. Yeah, to take that away would be catastrophic. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and not only that though, again, it would be an abandonment on Mando's part, and it would be like he's only allowed to be a kid when he's with Mando, because remember, he's been trained by master after master, went through the Clone Wars. Was he ever a kid?
Yeah.
I mean,
before he left the temple,
to be a kid when he was in the order.
I had an interesting conversation with a group of individuals this morning, and of course, we were talking about that episode. Who do you think snuck him out of the temple?
I think he was kidnapped.
You think he was kidnapped?
I do.
I think Mace took him.
Then, if someone took him and hid him, then someone discovered him. Or he was taken and hidden for ill intent.
I think he was taken and hid for a purpose, and along the way, whoever took him and hid him lost him.
See, that's what I initially thought, but now I'm thinking that he was taken.
But there was some rumors floating around that he was a clone.
Yeah, but
let's stop and look at this for a minute.
Can't be a clone. He can't be.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
The 3 individuals of that species that we have ever seen in the Star Wars mythos were all Force sensitive. Every single one. Mm-hmm. The first one we saw was Yoda. Mm-hmm. Then in the prequels, we saw Yaddle, where Yoda was still running around being Grandmaster. Mm-hmm. Both him and Yaddle was on the council. I think him and Yaddle got a little busy and created a little baby. He was raised in a temple. He was trained by masters. Why no other masters that we have known had spoke on it? Unless specific masters in the council knew. Because Yaddle disappeared after episode 1.
You and I have been together in a lot of theories lately.
It's bizarre. But again, we've seen this species. Mm-hmm. They don't lay eggs.
Well, we don't know what they do.
They don't.
We don't even know the name of the
species.
So we can't claim to know what they do.
Okay. It is what it is. Yoda and Yaddle had a love child. And he was Force sensitive because both Mama and Daddy strong in the Force. Right?
I'm going to say that he is...
If I'm going out on a limb, I could be wrong. And I'll eat crow. Bring me a knife. Bring me a fork and a plate. Let me eat this crow. But if I'm right, I'm going to need you to be like, aha, you said it.
Hey, well, it's on tape. We'll take this on a flash drive.
But yeah.
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 Bottom line is that he had a traumatic past.
He did.
At the end of the day.
He did. What do you think about the name? Some people saying they don't like the name. Some people have no problem with it. Some people think it's cute. I mean, the dude is Baby Yoda. He gonna always be Baby Yoda.
I could care less.
So can I. I don't care. I think it was a cheap cop-out. I think whoever it was gave him the name Love Baby Groot.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, it's Yoda's baby, so let's name him Grogu. No. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
No.
I have some things that I thought were really good touches by the episode.
Okay.
One was the droids, the assassin droids, for them to display that athletic ability going on the roof. That was pretty freaking hot. The torture cages.
Okay.
We've heard torture in the Star Wars universe,
but we never saw it.
We never saw it until today, and that was pretty wild. Choreography, obviously, we spoke about that. There's a part where the lady's right hand man is talking with Mando, and he hears the spear drop, and he's like, "Oh, I guess that means that you won, that your side won." So he sets his gun out, and he slowly puts it on the ground as an "I surrender." And he's watching Mando's hand. He sees Mando's hands move far enough away that he thinks he can make a move. He makes his move
and gets
gunned down. Yeah. Right? And I couldn't help but think of a line that immediately hit my head.
What was the line?
The line was, "My gun is blazing while yours is raising." The notorious B.I.G.
Yes. Yes. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
But yeah.
And Mando's also just as attached to Grogu as he is, because you can see when she asks where he is, and he's like, "He's in the ship. I'll go get him." The way he said, "I'll go," there's this drop in his
in the tone, voice.
Almost like a regretful tone.
Yeah, like I have to give up my baby.
Yeah.
You know, look at what she said to him afterwards.
Yeah, he's like, he sees you like a father.
Yeah. And then when he's walking away with Grogu, you know, Ahsoka smiles.
Yeah.
And it's
well, Grogu is going to get something that I think that a lot of children didn't get the option to have. One is he gets to be a kid. And I think that when he's in the temple, it's all about training and lessons, and you know, sure, there might be some fun, but overall, this is about focus and about training. And so he gets to live with the Mandalorian and going on these wild adventures and still be treated like a child. So I think that the door was subtly opened by the writer in this one, and I can't remember his name, but we'll just
Dave
say
Filoni.
Filoni, right? So I think between Favreau and Filoni, they've given us some options.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
The best thing, or the best, since George Lucas, Favreau and Filoni have been the best thing that happened to Star Wars.
Period. Two guys.
It's almost as if George Lucas gave birth to Filoni and Favreau.
All I know.
When was the last time we had a rich Star Wars story since The Mandalorian?
We haven't.
Well,
I hold on. Rogue One was amazing.
Okay.
So not since Rogue One.
I thought Rogue One was okay. I don't think Rogue One was amazing. I thought Rogue One was okay.
I thought Rogue One was amazing. I could watch Rogue One right now.
The last thing amazing we had in the Star Wars was Episode 3.
No.
Yes. The last thing amazing.
No.
I'm not saying good. I'm saying amazing.
First of all,
that fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar, when Obi-Wan surrendered himself to the Force.
It wasn't amazing. I'm saying it wasn't the last thing that was amazing.
Because you like Rogue One like that?
Well, because you hear the stories in conversation, but you don't see the stories. You just hear about them.
Yeah.
And so
because we get to see what happened with the whole Death Star being...
Just look at Episode 6.
Okay.
Where Mothma's talking about how many people died for this information that we have. And all they have is these plans that show a small vulnerability. And then we learn that vulnerability was put there on purpose because he couldn't live with what he was doing, and this was the only way to atone for what he was about to do, because he tried to get out and they pulled him right back in. And then, he already saw his wife gunned down in front of him. He's not going to let that happen to his child. I get it. So and then to see her perspective of how she had to grow up with Saul. And we know that he can be an extreme person to live with.
Yeah.
So you get to see all of that. And Guerrera was just a extra added touch to the whole story. I mean, I can't take anything away from it.
Yeah. All right. There was a few moments in here. A couple of them you touched on. One of them for me that stuck out was when Mando took the Beskar spear and hit it against his Beskar.
Yes.
Because Beskar sings.
Yeah.
And you heard that ding.
Yeah.
Like, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Pure Beskar.
Yeah.
And she know the value of Beskar for Mandalorians. And that's why she said, I have a problem that's priceless. I need you to take care of it. And this is a priceless payment.
So when he walks out, when he says, "Where's the Jedi?" and he walks out and, chats it up with the old boy and then heads out, I told my neighbor, I was like, this is the first time we see him walking out with the upper hand. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, we never heard him say deal. We never heard him say, I'll take the job. He just said, where's the Jedi? If they understood that as I accept the job, that's on them. But he confirms that he never took the job later on.
Yeah.
So it was great. Yeah. It was great. It's like the first time he got a chance to use information to work in his favor, as opposed to what's happened in the past. Because he's been bitten. He's been bitten in the past.
You think there's a reason why we never heard Yaddle name mentioned? Because Ahsoka says, I've only known one of his like. He was a Jedi master named Yoda. She never said Yaddle. So here's the thing.
Does she even know Yaddle?
I'm about to say, did she even know Yaddle? Because by the time Ahsoka rolls around, it's between episode 2 and episode 3. Yaddle is no longer in the Jedi Temple on the council.
Well, let's remember what the Chancellor's strategy was. Mm-hmm. First of all, his strategy was phenomenal.
Okay.
Because he scattered the Jedi all across the galaxy. Mm-hmm. House divided cannot stand. Mm-hmm. And used Anakin to divide them on the inside personally, and then he used the missions to separate them physically. So that's why it's so easy to take out the Jedi at that point, because you had a whole squadron versus like 1 or 2 at a time. Mm-hmm. When Order 66 is given. Mm-hmm. It was a perfect plan. So but for all we know, Yaddle could have been on mission.
Keep in mind too, Palpatine, aka Sidious, mm-hmm. also had foresight. Mm-hmm. So he saw what he needed to do, and he saw many different ways to go about it, because he had foresight.
Yeah.
Just like Mace, the reason why, and they didn't make this out to be that way, but when him and Mace starts fighting, mm-hmm. it's daytime. By the time Anakin gets there, it's nighttime. Mm-hmm. In the books, when you read in the story of Mace Windu and Palpatine's fight, they fought for hours. Mm. In the movie, they just made it seem like it was a couple minutes.
Right.
And then, of course, he, played whatever role he was going to play to allow Anakin to see shades of gray or whatever the case may be. But Palpatine was just a genius.
Oh, absolutely.
So he knew exactly where he was going. That bait was already laid way out, like days and weeks and months before the whole thing went
Anakin was just the strongest pawn. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And he was used as a tool.
Yeah.
to achieve what Palpatine needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he found out about Luke in Return of the Jedi, he was ready to toss Vader by the wayside.
Oh,
yeah, you could die. I'll just take him, let him be my new apprentice.
And keep in mind, Anakin did fulfill.
Oh, the prophecy. He did. He did. That's the thing, though. And we had that conversation this morning. Yoda did not think Anakin was the chosen one. Mm-hmm. Some Jedis did, some didn't. Obi-Wan did because Qui-Gon told him he was.
Well, again, this is why Ahsoka does not want to train Grogu.
Yeah.
Because he's attached to the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He's had trauma, and he's got a ton of fear.
Mm-hmm.
When they brought Anakin before the council, they sensed the fear, they sensed the anger, and they knew about the attachment.
Yeah.
On paper, shouldn't have been trained.
Shouldn't have been.
On paper.
And if it was that situation to where the Jedis had discovered him, they wouldn't have trained him either. Mm-mm. Just like when Anakin went before the council, they was like, no. Mm-mm. Yeah. The young lady, well, I can't really say young lady, but the female who portrayed Morgan Elsbeth.
Diana Lee and Santo.
Yes. That's the goddaughter of martial arts legend Bruce Lee.
I honestly didn't see that coming. When I looked her up, I was like, this woman has a real career. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like a real career. I mean, she doesn't even have to be on camera for what she does.
No. But I think she was perfect for that role.
Yeah.
You know? And I love to see her and Ahsoka square off. And I thought, like, just watching their chemistry and their choreography, I felt like they were doing that for a while. So I think they literally trained together and worked on that choreography.
That's what I think. I wouldn't be surprised if she choreographed it herself.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. But, Absolutely. Hey, I thought it was a great episode.
Okay. I do have some questions that you said you may have answers for.
Shoot. I might have answers.
It's safe to say that we would have been fine with just Moff Gideon as the big bad villain. But now we have Thrawn's name thrown in. Do we see the two of them on screen together? And do we see Thrawn this season?
No.
No Thrawn.
We don't see Thrawn this season. I'm going to tell you why. One, he's bigger than Moff Gideon. Mm-hmm. Moff Gideon, we saw him at the ending of last season.
He works for Thrawn.
Yeah. It's like when you have a big bad in a video game. You have the lieutenants of the big bad. Mm-hmm. You got to take out the lieutenants to get to the big bad. Mm-hmm. I don't think we will see him until maybe next season or the season after, if there is Mandalorian season 3 or 4. Which they should be because the show is so amazing.
Right. Well, they're already on task for season 3. Yeah. That's happening.
I think we might hear his name thrown around a lot more in season 3. We might get to see him at the end of season 3 or season 4.
Would you be happy if he just showed up in season 4?
Give it to me as soon as you can give it to me. I want to see him. I know it's going to be an A-list actor that's going to be playing.
Who would you cast as Thrawn?
I don't know. I don't have nobody for you. That's a big one. I have to think about that. At least for like a few days. Literally. All right, next question. Shoot.
All right. So, Grogu is on his way to a planet, to a temple, to sit in a place where he gets to choose his path. Mm-hmm. Now, we can assume that he'll most likely choose the path of staying with the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. We can assume that. However, the show is called The Mandalorian, not The Mandalorian and Grogu. So, I think that anything is possible. Now, She said that, first of all, I think that he's being given a choice, which I think a lot of kids who have force abilities are not necessarily given.
Okay.
So now he's given a choice to choose. You can either let your abilities fade, or you can continue your training. If you want to continue your training, maybe there's somebody out there who will train you, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this time, Luke Skywalker is looking to rebuild. Or is it possible that Ezra may pick up the mantle?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ezra because we've seen Bo-Katan. We've seen Ahsoka Tanoas. And you can't have those two characters and not have Sabine. Mm-hmm. You can't have those two characters and not continue the story from Rebels. Mm-hmm. Because if you pay attention to the formula and the narrative of Mandalorian, it flows from Rebels into this entity that we have now. Mm-hmm. So some way, somehow, Ezra has to come on the scene or talk about.
See, I think Ezra is one of the few people out there that can still allow you to live that adventurous life while still learning how to commune with the Force.
I couldn't stand the character, though. I'm sorry.
Never?
No.
He grew on me.
He grew on you. You know who grew on me? Ahsoka.
She didn't have you right away. Mm-mm. Yeah.
But I saw Ahsoka when she was a kid.
Right.
And as she grew with me, I saw the growth. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with the growth. Mm-hmm. Not a bad idea that they got Rosario Dawson, too, because she's a piece, by the way. Gorgeous. But the character grew on me. Mm-hmm. Watching the decisions that she made. And you watch her go from preteen or young teen to old teen to young adult. Mm-hmm. And then you see her in Rebels as an adult. Mm-hmm. And then you see her on here as a full-grown woman.
She's an adult.
Adult.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I love the fact that Rosario Dawson was the one who portrayed her because the mannerisms of her is Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. If you watch Clone Wars, take away the voice.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the character. Grow with the character. That's what we saw.
Yeah.
And if you could have told me anything about this character, I would be like, talk about the growth. Because from season 1, episode 1 of Clone Wars to what we saw in Mandalorian episode 5, I have followed Ahsoka on her journey to that. It's the same character.
Yeah.
And being that she's Dave Filoni's character, perfect.
Yeah.
He nailed it.
It was great. It was a great episode. I felt that this was the best episode, hands down.
Ever. In the last 13, 14 episodes.
You know, they feel like there's some other episodes that were better.
I think it's 13. This is episode 5, right? It's 8. Yeah, 13.
There's 3 more left.
Yeah. I mean, unless they want to give us a bonus and give us 2 more, I'll take 2 more.
This is something I have looked up.
Yeah, no, it's 8 because they had 8 last season as well. They have 8.
No, there's 13 episodes.
There's 13 episodes. No, you're talking about 13 combined. Yeah, this is the 13 one combined. But I'm saying every season they have had 8 episodes per season.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have 3 more coming, which I don't think we're going to see Moff Gideon until the last episode. Here's the thing. Yeah. Do we get to see Boba again? And if we don't, what are you going to do with that character because he's such a rich character?
Bro, I don't know.
And are we going to see Ahsoka again?
I have a feeling we may not see Ahsoka again. I have a feeling we may not.
Okay. We know that the Darksaber's there and we're going to see the Darksaber again.
I think we're going to see Bo-Katan before.
You think we're going to see Bo-Katan take him down and take the Darksaber?
I don't know if she's getting that saber. I don't know.
You know, at one point that saber was actually in the Jedi.
It was actually in her possession, and I know it was in the Jedi possession.
It was in the Jedi possession. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of open lines. They've opened up Thrawn.
Yeah.
We still got to deal with Moff Gideon. Don't know what's going to happen with Bo-Katan, but we know that her and Moff Gideon have to square off sooner or later because he's got what she wants. And then we also know that there's got to be some type of connection, or we'll say a head-to-head between Ahsoka and Thrawn, because there's nothing that's going to stop her from making that goal.
Yeah.
So how the Mandalorian plays in all this is, I mean, he is probably the link between both of them.
Could be. Yeah.
But first, he's on mission. So we can only, I can't even imagine what next week is going to be like.
I don't know. But they can only have one more maybe filler episode. I felt when they went to the planet, the frost planet, the ice planet or whatever, with the frogs.
Yeah,
I felt that was a filler
episode, yeah.
But it had a purpose. Because those spiders that was on there is also in the books.
I don't feel like it pushed the storyline. The only way you could say it pushed the storyline is just from the fact that, you know, he's still following these leads that lead him to the Jedi. But outside of that, he's going to have side missions. We know that that's going to happen because he'll have to trade his skills for information, which we have seen already. So,
and when the Mandalorian dropped their 2 trailers, there was nothing in there. They didn't leak anything of Ahsoka. You never saw anything.
That Rosario.
We heard. There was no confirmation. We heard Rosario Dawson was going to be playing Ahsoka Tanoas.
No, I'm saying we knew that she was in the season. We knew
there was no confirmation of that either.
There was no confirmation.
None.
Of that
it was all
Dawson.
rumored.
Well, doggone it, someone sold me a good rumor then, because the entire time I thought she was in.
About a week ago, week and a half, almost a week. I want to say it's a week. Someone had hit me up and they were telling me all these different leaks. They told me about the episode, how it was going to start off with Ahsoka, and they even dropped Grogu's name. And I was like, man, people reaching. It's not going to...
making up stuff.
And man, was I wrong. Dude, I ate a plate full of crow that day.
Full of crow.
Full of crow. Friday morning when I watched it. I was like, all these rumors that they gave me was spot on.
We had a debate this morning, my neighbor and I.
Okay.
And he's like, why did she not see, like, what's up with attacking first when he's out there? And I'm like, she's not a Jedi. She's not a Jedi. She is someone who has her own relationship with the Force. And so I thought, and I said, to me, that was the confirmation. Because if you are a Jedi, then...
you live by a certain code or creed.
She would have sensed Grogu's presence there when they both showed up. And we know that Ahsoka tends to fight from top to bottom, not the other way around. So you have to kind of assume that she saw him coming from a ways away.
Yeah, but even though she saw him coming from a ways away, you talking about when her and the Mando engaged?
Yeah. No,
remember,
let's call it what it is. She attacked first.
She did, but remember he took Grogu out his pouch and sat him down.
Sat him down. Was talking the entire time. Looked at where he thought he heard the sound, saw the animals, and then
he said, "Oh, it's
just that." And he's still talking to the child. At this point, wherever she is, wherever her vantage point is, she should be able to see that there is a little child, or be able to sense his presence.
But you saw her see him afterwards.
Exactly my point.
Do you think it could have been they wanted to zero into her face seeing him while she dropped the guard?
I believe you are dealing with a different type of person altogether because the experiences that she's had has transformed her into what we see now. And as far as like asking questions, if she thinks you're there to kill her, she's not waiting to confirm that.
Yeah. Okay, look at the situation. I don't normally play devil's advocate, but I'm going to play it today. Smell, but don't taste. Taste, but don't swallow. Swallow, but don't enjoy. She just engaged with Morgan Elsbeth. She told her she had 1 day.
Right.
She's cut down her guys.
Right.
She knows that
it only makes sense that Morgan sent
someone to kill her.
But instead of confirming or sensing the presence of two souls there, one of which is extremely force sensitive because he's had a lot of training.
But at this point, he's masking his abilities. Abilities that he don't even use on a regular.
I'm willing to bet that if she had a relationship with the Force as one who is a Jedi has with it, she would have detected its presence.
I don't know. I can't say. I'm over here playing devil's advocate, so I got to play it full on. You got any more questions?
No more questions. Yeah. I just want to know, are we going to hear Luke's name in regards to searching for Jedi?
We have to, because he's still alive.
Yeah.
And I know his name is circulating. So if we don't hear Luke Skywalker, we hear of the Skywalker Jedi.
Yeah.
We have to.
All I know is there's a lot of loose ends to be tied up. Lots.
Okay. Do you think Thrawn is secretly working the Dark Order or the Black Order? Because it's at this
point. There's no Black Order just yet, though.
We don't know that. The Empire fell, right? After the Empire fell,
Moff Gideon.
Do you remember what's her name? Old lady, tiny creature, Maz Kanata. Maz Kanata. Remember, Maz Kanata said, "I saw the rise of the Empire. I saw the Jedi rise and fall, just like the Empire. Now I've seen the First Order rise as well." Do we see any of this? They have to be out there or being assembled at this moment.
I don't know if I want my storyline to touch any of that nonsense that went on over there.
I wholeheartedly agree. So
if in fact there is a time where they have to touch on that part of the storyline, I think it's going to be as late as possible.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I would, because you have years to play with right now. Because Jedi is not that far from being over at this point in the Mandalorian storyline. And this can be told over 8 episodes a year. That's a lot of story to tell. And you don't have to accelerate the timeline.
Now, we've seen the dark saber in Clone Wars. Do you think
in Rebels.
Do you think when we see it again, they're going to talk about, or we might get a flashback of the creation of it?
I'm going to say no.
Bo-Katan talks about Mandalore.
Well, we see a lot about the Darksaber in Rebels.
Okay.
So yeah. I don't know if I'm concerned that if you try to do something like that you're going to end up telling the story twice. Because the story was told pretty well in Rebels.
What if they don't tell the story, but they show us it being forged many, many years ago?
I mean, the bottom line is that it was a Mandalorian who was a Jedi. I don't know if you really need to see the saber being forged, because it's about who wielded that saber, not the saber's abilities itself.
Okay, so you think we're gonna see Bo-Katan again?
Oh, I'm. If I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would bet on seeing Bo-Katan again before seeing Ahsoka again.
I do think so as well. You think we're gonna have her take down Gideon and not Mando?
So it'll be a coordinated effort.
Okay, but if you're going up against the dark saber, wouldn't you need another saber?
Not if you got Beskar.
Bo-Katan don't have Beskar.
I bet you she'll have that spear in her hand by the time she fight Gideon.
I forgot about the spear. Spear's brand new. I forgot about the spear. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. See, because when I know Ahsoka was coming, I was like, Ahsoka's gonna have to fight Gideon. Saber versus saber.
Are we gonna see a new Forger?
No.
Will we see the previous Forger?
Yes. She's not dead.
She's not dead. I didn't think she's dead either.
Yeah, she's not dead.
Does she get the spear?
I don't know.
And change into something else?
Could be. I mean, I thought it was very unique to have a Beskar spear. We've never seen a Beskar spear.
I've never seen nothing like that.
In the books, we've seen all about Kartos' bones and stuff like that. Being, lightsaber resistant. Never Beskar. This was why this was such a big thing in the forums where people were talking about Beskar versus lightsaber.
Why don't we see Ahsoka use the Force when she's fighting?
She did. Did you not see that part?
I must have missed it, and I've seen this.
That's why I watched it twice, and literally I watched her fight 3 times.
Which part?
In the opening scene where she's cutting through them guys. There's one where she's behind the tree.
No. In the fight.
Oh, against
Elsbeth.
I don't know. I thought she was going to use it to pull her saber out of the water. Afterwards, she got a saber back, so she clearly pulled it out of the water. But I would have loved to see her.
I thought she only had one saber the rest of the way.
Yeah, but when you saw her in the end with Mando,
yeah,
saying goodbye, she had it too.
Yeah, no, she's not parting with it just because it fell in the water.
Yeah, she's not going to walk away from that. No way, dude. And those are the exact same sabers she's using in Rebels.
Why does she not use the Force while fighting?
I don't know. Because she's coming back and she's gonna use the Force when she's fighting. They couldn't give us everything.
Elsbeth had her own.
Elsbeth had her own what?
Held her own in the fight.
Oh, she did?
Bit. Yeah.
She did. Listen, she's a tyrant. It's a reason why she was a tyrant.
Yeah.
You can't be a tyrant and not be able to fight. You can't be like pull a Jabba the Hutt.
Right. It was fantastic.
It was phenomenal. But that's what it is. You got anything else?
Nah, I had a great time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode.
Felt like
as
I got
well.
a lot off my chest.
Yeah. The next time we do anything Mando, we got to bring in Reese Menkib.
Yeah, she's probably saying, why did they have her here today?
Yeah. I talked to her this morning. She was one of the ones who was talking, and she had some pretty good theories.
Quiet as kept.
Yeah.
She tends to do that.
Yeah. She's phenomenal. We got to get her in on, we got 3 more episodes. Yeah. So we're going to see how it wraps up, and then we're going to bring her in and cap it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But this was a great show. Keitanooo, may the Force be with you, brother.
May the Force be with you, too.
Thank you guys for listening. This is your boy, Tchallabp74 and my man.
Keitanooo.
We out. Bye-bye.
APAC.